I'll quote the president from earlier today to you directly. He says, "We'll be hitting them very hard," referring to Iran, "and at some point they'll say, we just can't take it anymore." What makes them reach that point?
You know, most of the experts on the region, and I've been with the region off and on and in various roles for 25 years, most of the people don't believe you're going to get a capitulation from the Iranians. They've taken the punch. The IRGC has survived it. They lost their top leadership. They've still got their missile cities intact. Pickaxe Mountain, which is president's talked about, is intact. And so you could take out oil refineries. Most of their water is not from desalination. You can tear down some bridges. But if the idea is that you would punish them enough that they would say, oh my gosh, I just can't take one more punch in the nose, most of the people who really understand it say that's not likely to happen because you're dealing with real zealots. And let me put it this way. Look at what the Ukrainians have taken over the last 4.5 years from the Russians. And you would have said, my goodness, how could they stand it? Well, because for the Iranians, like for the Ukrainians, this is an existential battle. The president announced early on that we were looking at regime change. He's a couple of times suggested he was going to blow them back to the Stone Age. So they take those comments seriously. They see it as existential. I'm not talking about the Iranian people now. I'm talking about the IRGC. They're hanging on for dear life. And so if you knock out a few more bridges and take out a couple of oil refineries and so forth and reduce their money flow, okay. But they think they're winning right now. And they think they're going to continue to hold the Strait of Hormuz, strike our friends and allies in the Gulf, drive us back out of military positions there and back into the arms of Israel. And then by that time, have sufficient missile strength to simply launch 1,000 missiles at Israel. Israel expends all its anti-missile ordnance, and that's the end of it. And the longer this goes on, the greater the support they're getting from China and Russia. So I don't think you can punch them in the nose and get them to surrender. But we've got to find a better way, I think.
General, what do you make of the trip to Camp David today? We carried the president's cabinet meeting, a rare Camp David cabinet meeting, and a rare visit there in general for this president who tends to not go to the top of the mountain very often. But we know that Camp David is typically or has been reserved for delicate conversations, for sensitive negotiations, for deliberations away from the public eye. Knowing there was a TV camera there, which was a bit unusual to see today, I wonder if this cabinet meeting took place because the president was there to speak quietly with his top lieutenants. He's got Marco Rubio, Pete Hegseth, and others up there with him about next steps and potentially escalating this war.
Well, I think the administration, I think the president recognizes he's at a crucial decision point here. He's tried 5 weeks of airstrikes. He's tried to pause and ask for negotiations. Negotiations were undertaken. There was an MOU, and it wasn't very well written, and it was violated immediately by the Iranians, who didn't open the Strait of Hormuz. And then there's been tit for tat, and now surprise attacks and response. And I think the administration recognizes this is a fork in the road. If the more you want negotiations with the Iranians, the stronger hand they believe they have, and the worse the outcome of the negotiations will be. So do you continue to be the demandeur of the negotiations? Do you apply force? But if you apply force, what targets do you go after? And so there's some speculation that maybe we do one more round of really heavy airstrikes, a couple of weeks, take out all the remaining targets that we have in a 14,000 target base, refineries, bridges, everything that we think is significant, probably hit a couple of empty warehouses along the way. And then at that point, you're going to have to go in on the ground. At least that's the thinking. And that's one of the strands of thought that's hanging out there. So you're at a real inflection point here. And the question is, which way do we go? And if we move forward without isolating Iran from reinforcement, supplies, technology, targeting, and all the other assistance from Iran, China, and some of it coming through Pakistan, we're in for a long, tough fight.
Well, that's incredible to consider as we consider the fight directly between the U.S. and Iran. There's also the questions of the conflicts that have been going on in parallel with it in many ways, including, of course, with Hezbollah, between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. And then there was the question of Gaza as well. The president announced yesterday, General, that the Board of Peace has reached an agreement for the complete disarmament of Hamas, that the president says, to use his words, will be a monumental step toward lasting peace and security. How much faith would you put in it?
Well, this is, I think it's a triumph of hope over reality. I'd be very surprised if Hamas would agree to that. And certainly if they're getting any help from Iran or through Hezbollah, I'd be doubtful that they'd agree with it. It's been a tremendous, tremendous burden on Israel, not only from the military side, but also from the public relations side and international support side, as Israel has struggled to deal with the terrorist organization. So it'll be in the interest of all the outside actors who are opposed to Israel to tell Hamas, don't disarm, drag this thing on, take another month, 2 months, 3 months. So the problem with disarmaments is always, how do you actually do it and then verify it? And then that's, until you see the fine details, you don't know whether it's going to be real or not.
I want to ask you about the president's comments today about Ukraine, General. We didn't think we'd be talking about this, but he's casting doubt, in fact, openly doubting this deal to provide general licenses for Ukraine to build its own Patriot missiles. He said, we have to be very careful about giving out the secrets to those weapons. There's a risk of giving it away and them turning on you. Did you understand that this was a deal in place? And without those Patriots, what next for Ukraine?
President Zelensky has asked for just a few Patriots. He said he wants 30 before he gets into the winter, or maybe a little bit more than that. And really, we have been withholding these because we have a shortfall. So it's natural that we would allow someone else to manufacture. Okay, if you don't trust Ukraine, give it to Poland, give it to Britain, give it to somebody. Under the Defense Production Act, the president could have that authority. So, and the idea that the Patriots would be turned against us, I'm not sure about that. Actually, it looks like the more effective missile than the Patriot is a French-Italian anti-aircraft missile that's been around for a few years, continuously updated. And while some of the Iranian missiles can slip through the Patriots, we think this French-Italian missile won't let the steerable Iranian missiles or Russian missiles through. So it might be more effective. And Ukraine is going to develop its own anti-aircraft missiles or anti-missile missiles very quickly if we don't allow them to do it. They've already got their own TLAM. They've all long-range cruise missile. They're testing their ballistic missiles that would be able to hit Moscow. So let's get real here. We're moving into a situation where we're going to have at least 2 interlocking and perhaps 3 interlocking global crises, all with military force, in which they're engaged with Iran bridging between the Middle East and Ukraine, Russia supporting Iran as well as attacking Ukraine, China feeding both Russia and Iran to fight the United States. Yeah. So this is not a skirmish. This is a real serious inflection point in U.S. power abroad.